Welcome to the Adam Rothstein Hockey Podcast. This is your podcast for all things hockey. On this podcast, we talk about past history to the modern day and what you can do to grow the sport. I am your host, Adam Rothstein. All right, let's get to the show. And welcome back to the Adam Rothstein Hockey Podcast. This is episode 38 with Matt Stella. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm great, Adam. How you doing? I'm happy to be here, and thanks for having me back on.
Of course. Well, back from the Blue Oasis days, but everything's getting moved over and taking a new path. Okay. So I have to ask the first question. When did you begin playing hockey?
First time I began playing hockey, I think I was about 2 or 3 years old. My dad got me a pair of rollerblades, the old-fashioned rollerblades where you just strapped them to the bottom of your shoes. So I was riding around our driveway, and then he ended up taking me out to the rink, and just throwing some skates on my feet and just started getting me on the ice, just learning how to skate. And then the first time I ever took like an organized class, I was about 4 years old.
Well, that's when I started, was 4 years old, but I never rollerbladed.
Yeah. I learned rollerblading first. So when I got on the ice, I knew how to stand and didn't look like Bambi out there.
So going more into that, did you do something like mites on ice, or were you like a mite? Did you have when did you start playing organized hockey is my question.
So organized hockey I was probably 4.5, 5. I think I started, learn to skate in the summer. And then I jumped right in the fall, right into organized hockey at like the mite level. And then ended up jumping in to like my first organized hockey at that age. Was that the same with you?
I did not officially play an organized ice hockey until I was 12. I came in very late.
There's nothing wrong with that.
What?
I said there's nothing wrong with that.
And I still was able to like get some playing time in college too after all of that.
Yeah, you were a good college player.
Yeah. So with all that beginning, and you continued on from like 6 through 10, and did you get to play any, or like when did you begin travel hockey from going from your early days to age 10?
So I started playing travel about age 7, maybe 8. So I started pretty young. And obviously, the structure, I guess back then when we were playing, it was mite, squirt, bantam, or peewee, bantam, midgets. I think now it's, classified by age group. So it's like 8U, 10U, 12, 14, 16, 18. I think they have it now. So back in, when we were playing, I think I started my first year of travel was my squirt minor year at like 7 or 8, somewhere in that area. And then I would play travel my first year at a level. So my first year at squirt, I would play A. My second year, I'd play double A. Same for peewee, same for bantam. And then once we went to midgets, I played double A both my midget 16 year, and then I played double A my only 18 year.
Double A, your only U18 year, you mean?
Yeah, and then also in 16s as well.
16s as well. Okay. So did you also play high school hockey?
Yeah, I played high school hockey as well. I played just my sophomore, junior, and senior year.
Oh, I played only in my senior year, but how did you balance your time between two hockey organizations and school? How did you do it?
It was tough. Balancing hockey and for school and for travel was tough. I remember my first year of 16s. Our team was really good. We were traveling all over the country. We were in Canada, we were in Chicago, New York, pretty much playing everywhere in the country. So I remember my first year 16s was my sophomore year of high school. So it's, first year in the big school, doing high school stuff, first year playing high school hockey, playing on this really good travel team. I was on the ice 22 or 21 or 22 straight days. Um, and I couldn't do it anymore. I texted one of my coaches. I was like, "Hey, coach, unfortunately I have to miss practice tonight. I can't do it right now. My body's just breaking down." Um, so it was a lot. I'll say this: it was a lot of support from my coaching for both coaches, from my coaching staff. Them recognizing when we need breaks, when you just need to take a night off to let your body recharge, and get some schoolwork done and worry about that. And obviously, my parents were a huge help getting me to every practice, every game, whatever state we were in. So that was a big help, having them, help balance all that. And then schoolwork on top of it. It was just kind of whenever I could get it done. Like you get home from school right away. There's always 2 hours. For us, our practices didn't start until at least 5 or 6 o'clock at night. So getting home at 3 from high school, that 2 hours, to get homework done there, that was kind of important for us. And, my parents always had that, kind of instilled in us to, do homework right when you got home from school. Don't let it wait. And take time, use that time to kind of get some stuff done.
Of course. Now, did you ever win a championship with your high school team? I remember you saying that to me a long time ago. You were in a championship.
Yeah, so in high school, our senior year, me and Jeremy Snyder, our other Towson teammate and very good friend of both of ours, we won a high school conference championship together, for our senior year. And then when I was in my first year of 16s for travel, I won a national championship.
Nice. Now, Zach Arden was on the podcast 2 episodes ago,
Yep.
and I talked to him about what we went through. There were a bunch of single A travel players, house players, and then you had the double A and the triple A as well, all within this one varsity
Yep.
league as well. Did you have something like that as well?
hmm Yeah, so we had something similar. Obviously, being in completely different states as you guys, um, it was very similar. We had, each of the teams had, some very good AAA players, some very good AA players, some A players, some in-house players, some people who only played high school. Um, so our league had a pretty good, mix of everything going on there.
Nice. I mean, but and you saw that some of the house players and the single A players had their struggles against the AAA and the double A kids.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just kind of like any team in any sport. You can see, especially even ninth graders to seniors. You could have had a ninth grader who was a triple A player, but you could have had a senior who was an A player. That senior still might have been better. They didn't play, the triple A level, but just puberty and growth, um, and just kind of development in that issue. That's where you saw some people who had different struggles, and then the same with two seniors, one that played triple A, one that played A. Usually that triple A player would be better, and you see the A player struggle compared to those players.
All right. Now before you were coming into Towson, before you met me, back in the great year that was 2014,
Yep.
did you ever consider playing juniors before going off to college?
So yeah, it was a thought that had crossed our minds. Obviously, you know how close me and Jeremy were, so we had talked about it. But back when in 2013, 2014, back when we were kind of thinking, was it go to college, go play juniors, go do whatever. Um, there wasn't really much education around what juniors was. There wasn't really, people out there that were looking out for you, looking out for the player, the individual, that were like, hey, here's what juniors is about. Here's the opportunities that it could bring you. Here's the cost of it. Here's what you would go through. Here's exactly what junior hockey's like compared to, going off to college and just going to play in college. It was always something that in our heads growing up, and I know in my head, my parents were very, very supportive, and they were like, "Hey, you're going to college. We want to make sure you get the good education. And if you can play hockey in college, that's just a blessing that you worked for, and you were able to um, kind of earn that right to play in college." So yeah, I mean, it. I thought about juniors, but again, like I said, it's not. There wasn't that much education around it, especially in our area. There wasn't too many junior teams, so for us, it was kind of just go to college, and if you can play, and you were lucky enough to have the opportunity, be grateful for that opportunity and go and play in college, because that's ultimately what everyone wants to do is play competitive as long as they want.
Whether that's juniors or college, yeah, like even
Yeah,
even me too.
yeah,
And I'll be honest with you, now a little bit of a side note. Beer league is still competitive, even though we don't check. It's still competitive, even though we don't check in there. But I actually prefer, like, I think after you get out of college and you've dealt with injuries like I
yeah,
have, you've you've had enough of the checking, and it's like there's no need to check anymore too. I mean,
yeah.
it's like unless you're going off to the AHL or something, it's y- you know, why you don't need to hit too. So um I guess this leads me to something else. Beer league. How is that been treating you?
It's been good. I've played in a couple different leagues in the area. I really like it just so I can see my friends. It's a good excuse not to go to the gym that day. I know you're a gym freak, Adam. So,
Yeah.
um, not all of us not all of us can be in the gym as much as you are, but
Well,
it's a good.
I have to interject on that one because I did not go to the gym today. I did a little bit of abs in my room, but it's and sometimes you don't want to go to the gym and just like put your stuff in the cubby or locker,
Yeah,
and and also it's easier to just get in a quick workout, put on a YouTube video, and get almost the same effect from it.
no,
And
I completely agree. There's so much on YouTube now, like workout wise, that you can do an easy body weight workout in your bedroom, in your house, apartment, wherever you are, um, and get that good workout in.
and of course you could do stick handling, and if you have
Mhm.
one of those devices that allows you to stand, I have this disc in my closet that you balance on as well, or and that's pretty good
We
there.
Hey,
Uh,
we knew my hands were never that good, Adam. You coached me. You knew they weren't the best. So stick handling wasn't my forte.
I'm a pretty good stick handler too. I think it's it's just, sometimes when you get out there and you face the defenseman, it's the tricky part.
Yeah, no,
Um
I agree.
Now I played as a defenseman and you were a forward. Did you ever consider playing on the blue line with Jeremy at one point?
So yeah, I've definitely considered it. I was always a pretty good backward skater, and I had a good sense of the ice. I kind of understood both ends, forward and defense really well, and I had some good hockey sense. Um, but I was just a better forward, and I was a good center. I played center, so I was able to play a defensive role when I needed to, but never made the full switch. If the team needed me back there for a game, or on the penalty killer power play, I could always jump back. But I was a better offensive mind than defensive mind.
And the same was for me. Um, Bit of a regret playing defense in high school and actually getting some playing time too as a defenseman as well, which was hard for me.
Yeah.
I should have done forward, but you grow up as a defenseman in special hockey. That's you're gonna stick to what you know.
And there's nothing wrong. Hey, you made the varsity team, right? You made your high school team as a defenseman, and that's what got you playing time.
Yeah,
that's
and I also played JV that same year because we had enough we needed more players in there, and I got like and I played like um I guess I got at least 20 minutes a game there,
that's
and it
awesome.
was house and travel A too, which was
Yeah.
another thing. It was not necessarily based on age or grade.
No,
Um
and which is great, and like look where it got you. It got you to being able to play at Towson and then end up ultimately coaching there, which is something I know that you loved to coach there and loved playing there. So making that you look back on it now, you say you wish you played forward, but look what that defensive career kind of propelled you to.
It did. I've got to admit that I think I wish I had done all of this sooner. Now, I think when now I don't know if my mentor Jason Stapleton will ever see this, but if he does, I mean I want to thank him for this because I mean it took a while for me to get in on this and to like just really hone in on my craft.
On your
Um
podcasting craft you're talking about, correct?
the podcasting craft, the
Yeah.
voice acting craft, even still. And I mean, I'm going to narrate something on a hockey book that I'll make up, which is going to be for all ages as
Yeah.
well. And it'll be in audio form. So that'll be good.
And I mean, I
Uh,
can I can speak to that because we've had a lot of long conversations and a lot of conversations over, you and your passions over podcasting, voiceovers, the audio books, all of that kind of stuff. And I mean, it's been since I've been out of college. You've been talking to me about it, and it's one thing that I can commend you on, and I'm proud of you, and saying that I'm your friend and how passionate you are about these things and how you stick to them. And speaking of the Blue Oasis podcast, now this podcast, you've how many books do you have out there? 4 or 5 audiobooks now?
I, no, it's three. And one of them was a remake, and then I
Okay.
did chess, and then I did another for a client one time.
Yeah, so you've got
And
you've got a decent amount, you've got a good portfolio out there of audiobooks, podcasts, that I know your mentor Jason, if he does hear this, would be proud to hear, what he's kind of meant to you, and kind of helped you in developing this portfolio.
yeah, and I've done like bonus episodes, and I think it's all right to, if you don't mind, promote rothsteina.substack.com, which is okay for $5 a month. You get bonus audio episodes, videos, and paid news articles as well. So you get access to all of that for just $5 a month. Or if you want to save, get your first 2 months free, you could do a one-time $50 per year,
I
and
love
you're
that,
locked
Adam.
in.
Love that. Good for you.
And it's about $4.19. It's about $4.20 a month if you want to do $50 a month. I had to. I was about to say 419. I had the numbers up, but I did 420. And hold on one moment. Um, Gotta get this. All right, this is going to surprise you. Now take a good look at this. This is the Hockey Journal. I designed it as an 8-bit cover, and it's not Connor McDavid, but it's a Philadelphia Flyer, and it just happens to read 97C across it because I didn't know what I was going for. So it's sort of like in the same sense of like the old Kate Upton on the GTA 5 cover, but it's not Kate Upton sort of
Yeah.
thing. That's what I was going for. And on the back it says, "Don't be afraid to start something excellent, Adam Rothstein." So if you ever need a journal for anything, even not just hockey, it's just a blank journal with great lines, 8.5 by 11. You can find it on lulu.com. I'll leave a link in the show notes. 8.5 by 11, and it is yours on Lulu.
Oh, I love that. I'm a big Flyers fan too. So seeing
Yeah,
seeing that flyer down there, it makes me smile a little bit.
and it's 8-bit too, which was
Ooh,
I had to do that design.
Yeah, it's a cool design. Might have
Uh,
to go get one myself.
you should. I'll leave a link in the show notes. Um, okay, now we move on to the NHL questions. So I have really I really do not like the shootout at all. Because you're not doing penalty shots. How many penalty shots a season in the NHL do you see? Like, I I think I can count it on one hand for the
Yeah.
most part.
Yeah, most of the time you're seeing maybe 5 to 10 a full season.
And I think, okay, we barely have that, and that's only if the player is on a potential breakaway,
Yep. Yeah, I
and
agree.
then you're gonna. I think I'm cool with the 3-on-3 even in OT, but it should be longer than 5 minutes. At least go to 10 minimum. And well, personally, I think you should go to 5-on-5 one more time, 10 minutes, and whatever happens at the end of that 10 minutes, if it's a tie, fine. If it's not, uh, then whoever gets the next goal wins it as well. But what are your thoughts on the shootout and potentially returning to the tie?
So I'm not a fan of the tie. I'm not a huge fan of the tie. I think, you know, game ends, we gotta have a winner. I like the idea of a game always ending in a win, like I just kind of said. Um, I think the NHL should adopt the 3-2-1 system where it's 3 points for, 3 points given out at any game. It's 3 points for a regulation win to the winner. The game goes to overtime. The loser gets 1 point, and the winner, if it is in a shootout, in overtime, whatever it could be, gets 2 points. I think that'll kind of help people really push for that win, instead of just letting it kind of go to a shootout. But then I do agree. I think the 3-on-3 is awesome. I think the NHL opening up the pace of play, and allowing younger audience, because like, could you imagine as a 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 year old, could you imagine watching a Capitals Flyers game when it goes to 3-on-3 for 10 minutes? Could you imagine how excited you would be watching that?
I would be very excited for that. And but 3-on-3, I think it's like no, just no. I think 4-on-4 would just be better personally. If you want to go down and just have less men on the ice, at least go to 4-on-4, 10 minutes, and I guess you would just repeat the process until there's a winner. I mean, we do it in the NBA. We do it in we have extra innings in baseball, and the
Yeah,
only other league that has a tie now is the NFL, which is confusing to me because they're the most popular league right
yeah.
now, out of all of them. But I do think, um, if I would rather have a tie than a shootout, just personally, I did want to clarify that,
Mm,
because the shootout just is meant for a skills competition.
yeah,
Personally,
and
it's
I
just
and I'm the opposite. I love seeing the shootout. I love seeing whatever move these guys can pull. I do like if games end in overtime though, because that's hockey. It's there's two teams. There's if could be 3-on-3, 4-on-4, whatever it may be. But that's a way that hockey's played. And I do like seeing a shootout. In person, I always root that the game goes to a shootout. I like seeing those skill players put on some displays of just greatness and some of the moves that you can see. Um, so personally, I like the shootout, just for the aspect of seeing some of these guys showcase their talents, and you see Patty Kane doing all these cool moves, and you see Trevor Zegras pulling off these moves, and all of these young guys, with some crazy things, and it makes it fun, and it definitely helps grow the game. With the younger audience, I think, as well.
it's a tough call. I mean, I'd much rather see McDavid skate around three guys, and then just pull off amazing, like a quick stick handle move, and then just toe drag in on the goaltender. Honestly,
Yeah.
that seems, it requires a little different skill.
No,
Um,
I completely agree with you on that one. Who doesn't love seeing that?
Now, there's been a lot of talks of Ovechkin passing Gretzky. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it before he turns 40. He would have 2 full seasons left. He's 37 now. He could get a 50-goal season. I made that prediction this year for a 50 goal, that he'd get a 50-goal season. He's got 22 now, and you've got 50 plus game. I think you got you have about 47 games left, I think, left for the Capitals, about that much. So he would be just on pace to get 50 goals this season, and he would finish with 830 in total career goals. Then that means he would have to get 65 more goals over the course of those 2 seasons, if I have my math right.
Yeah, so as you were kind of breaking that down, I just pulled up his stats for the year. So he's got, in 36 games played, he's got 22 goals. So like you said, he's got what, 48 games remaining now, 46 games remaining, and he's got to get 28 goals in that time. So I definitely think he can do it. Like you said, I mean, that's a great prediction to have 50 this year. I definitely think he can get 50. So what'll that, if say he gets 50 exactly, that gets him to what, 830, correct?
That would get 830 total. Then he's got to get 65 more goals with his age 38 season and his age 39 season. That seems like easy work for him to get 30 plus goals over the course of that, and he would have 12 total seasons with 30 or more goals, and he'd break a record with that as well. He's also on pace to break the empty net goals total, that is also held by Wayne Gretzky as well. But what I don't understand is, we shouldn't count the empty net goals at all. And then it's like, okay, do we not count the goaltenders' goals as well? Do we not count those? Do we not? And if we don't count empty net goals, we would not have Wayne Gretzky's 51 game point streak as well, because he continued it because of an empty net goal as well, which is insane. So a goal is a goal in my mind. I think those people are fools, to be honest with you.
Here's a little food for thought for you, Adam. So Ovi's got what, 52 empty net goals, 53, something along those lines. So, that's the head coach trusting, your top goal scorer to be out there with a 1 or 2 goal game. That's the coach trusting him to say that you're not just an offensive player. You're not, you're a good defender for this team as well. We trust you as a team to put you out there in a 1 or 2 goal game where obviously momentum can swing and the whole 9. So, he's not just, an empty net goal is just not, oh, he's our best goal scorer, let's go put him out there so he can score on the empty net. They're putting him out there because they trust him as a defensive player as well.
Of course. I mean, like, he goes to the blue line so often, and it's like, I don't know what, like, people forget that.
Yeah.
And he getting that empty netter to pass Gordie Howe. I mean, like, I'd do whatever it took to get past Howe. And and you score empty, you also have to be in the position to be able to do that as well. And how many times are you going to be in a position to, one, not only have a chance at the empty net, but two, uh, be up a goal by the end of the third period to where they will pull the goalie. And also, if you're in your offensive zone, the goalie still may not be able to get out in the last minute if you keep pouring shots on him.
Yep,
So
I
it
agree.
takes so many factors to get to that point anyway, and it happens not enough as well. And oftentimes, your team will struggle, and you're going to have to be pulling. Your goalie is going to be out there, is going to be on the bench, and you get an extra attacker to go.
Yep.
So it's two-way street as
No, I
well.
completely agree with you on that one.
Now I've got to talk a little bit about Wayne Gretzky. Do you think he's the best player of all time, given this era that we've come to of what I call the butterfly era? Do you think, with all these new factors into the game and the way the game has changed, the player's speed, and how long on average a player can hold the puck, would you consider him to be the greatest of all time even now?
So yeah, I mean, what Wayne Gretzky has done for the game and just how he's just was an absolute dominant force. I still think he is the greatest player of all time. Um, if you say, give me a Mount Rushmore of hockey players, your four hockey players that you want on there. Like the first name that everybody thinks of, Wayne Gretzky. So I kind of have to put him in that one. Obviously Ovi, we'll say, is, he's probably the most dominant goal scorer just because of, the game's just so much different, and the game is, the goalies are so much bigger, and the technology and everything that the goalies have now. I think that, Ovi is just a more pure dominant goal scorer than Gretzky was. Um, and obviously what Connor McDavid does on the ice right now is freakish. Watching him, he's younger than me, and I'm watching and I'm like, I'm in awe of this, of this guy playing hockey. And I just wish, personally, I wish I could be that good.
Like, who wouldn't?
Yeah, who wouldn't, obviously. But yeah, he's just a freak with how good he is out there. But I still think that, Wayne Gretzky is the greatest hockey player of all time.
I mean, he could still pass like it was no one's, but he was the best
Yep.
passer of his generation. And now I think the best passer of this generation is Sidney Crosby
Yeah.
as well. He's got the most assists out of anyone. He's got 916 total. If you go on Hockey Reference, you'll see that
Hmm.
he's going to get 1,000 assists as well. And it looks like he's going to be able to get 1,500 points as well. And I think he will be passing Stan Mikita very shortly, if I'm not
Nice.
mistaken,
Yeah, that's awesome.
which is insane.
Yeah.
I think now, between the rivalry of Ovechkin and Crosby, growing up, even as a Capitals fan, I would get so much flack for saying that Sidney Crosby is the better player than Ovechkin because well, Crosby's not the goal scorer. He's the playmaker. He makes it happen. He is the producer of the film in a way. And the film is Penguins get goals, get pucks in the back of the net.
Yep.
That's the title of the film, supposedly. And whether he was passing to Jordan Staal, Malkin, Letang, or even pudgy man Phil Kessel, he got it done. He got it done too, and he won 3 Stanley Cups because of it. And could you say he had better players around him? Yeah, you could, you could, but he still was able to bring the best out of them, and that's the most important thing. Ovechkin was not a passer at all, and even still now, Crosby has one more point Ovechkin, but Crosby's a year younger than
Yeah.
him
Yep.
as well. So and he played in less games because due to his injuries as well. So even after that, I've got to say that Crosby's better than Ovechkin as well. And that did not earn me
No,
respect from my peers at
I'm
all.
I'm sure it doesn't. And I mean, for me, even as a Flyers fan, saying that, Crosby's better than Ovechkin is going to burn down the city of Philadelphia, essentially. But no, I completely agree with what you're saying. Sid's just he is he's a freak as well. He just does everything correct, and um, you know, he does it as a center. Ovi's a winger. Center plays a little bit more of a role defensively, face-offs. There's a little bit more responsibility on him to think defensive minded, to, get matched up against the better lines and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Sid, I mean, obviously we're talking about two first ballot Hall of Famers. One who is going to set the NHL goal record at one point, in Ovi, and then Sid, who's just been an absolute winner at every level, and someone who is just a freak of an athlete. But yeah, I agree. I think Sid is a better player.
It would be a travesty if both of them are not put in unanimously as
No, yeah,
well.
100%. They'll both go in unanimously.
They should. It's not like the baseball Hall of Fame where like,
Nope.
oh yeah, you're not getting in unanimously unless your name's Mariano Rivera.
Yep.
But but um but the hockey writers, what they do, I think it's pretty good. It's consistent. It's because they haven't had, the struggles of what baseball's had. They didn't really have the steroid era in their league. They didn't have really any controversial figures. And the only one I can think of right now is Sean Avery, who was a very controversial figure for a little while. I think he was just more of an, jerk than anything else, but he sort of did get controversial too. But
Yeah, I don't think he's up for Hall of Fame nominations like, some of the people in the MLB are. So I don't think the hockey has to really worry about him, even though Avery did
yeah,
have
yeah, they ain't worried about him.
yeah, I mean, he did have a great career. I will say that, like, he was a good player. He did a lot for whatever team he was on, but he's obviously not, Hall of Fame caliber numbers that would put you in that category.
And still, even Vinny LeCavalier had some good years as well. I could definitely see him being a potential, he was like probably one of the best that would not get in
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yep.
Um, even though he won a Stanley Cup um as well. The one player I really think had the most interesting career was probably Marcel Dion. At, at one point, he tied the scoring title with Wayne Gretzky with his rookie season. He had 200 plus points, and he finished with over 700 goals, and he had about 1,700 points, if I'm not mistaken. I might even need to get this up on Hockey Reference before I go further, but he was probably the best player to never enter a Stanley Cup final. Unless McDavid finished his career with no dance to the cup, then I
Yeah.
think that's pretty safe to say at this point. But I do expect that he's gonna get in at some point. No, he did not have 1,700 points. Excuse me. Uh, he had 1,300 points. He had 757 assists, and no, okay, no, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, he did have 17. I'm looking at the wrong line here. I'll share my screen now and just show you all what I'm talking about. Optimize for video, and all right, that is not it. That is my spreadsheet. Okay, I have to stop the share. This is why I can't rely on this sometimes. Okay, share screen, LibreOffice. Brave browser, share. Okay, and we've got, okay. Okay, this line right here, 1,771
Yeah.
points. That doesn't happen nowadays, does it?
Nope. It's a lot of
Um,
points. That's a lot of points there, Adam.
1,000 assists, 1,040 assists, 731, and Hall of Famer, four-time All-Star. Pearson got a Ross Trophy, and it was a shame that Gretzky, overshadowed him. He is the best player to never play in a Stanley Cup final, at all. And I can't even think of a Hall of Famer right now who even would um at this point. Maybe Austin Matthews is going to be on that as well, because the Maple Leafs haven't been to the dance since before Jennifer Lopez was born.
It's a fun little stat for you there, Adam.
I had to just take a shot at the Maple Leafs. I had to.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Hey, you're allowed to take a shot at them. That's funny.
I mean, I'm making jokes. Like, anyone, like like the Maple Leafs should do a promotion of like, oh yeah, free tickets to anyone who had a ticket to the 1967 Stanley Cup final. Like, anyone that actually attended that game at this point.
That's funny. You're a jokester, Adam.
Like that would be there. Oh man. So I guess it's 8:30 already. We are about 40 minutes in. Anything you want to discuss?
Yeah, let's discuss our time at Towson together. We didn't really get to
Of
discuss
course,
that at
of
all.
course. Oh, I almost forgot. Oh,
That's
of
where we
course.
met.
Okay, so
Those 2 great years of our
Towson.
lives.
When I first met you, I thought, yeah, this is going to be a good guy, as well. And I think, like, being a 20-year-old, like, before Ed took me into his office and made me his assistant coach, like, I really wanted to be on the ice, and I was like doing everything I can to, like, just training as well. And at the age of 20, that's where you peak, sort of like you're in the best shape of your life. And then, even then, after, like, I was like 22, did I, like, really see, like, it going down, either because I was coming out of college or I was an assistant coach or whatever, but it just affected me so differently as well. And that I've, like, been and I did face my injuries and car accidents over the years, but when you first met me, before I was a coach, you thought I was not, like, did you think of me? What were your impressions of me? Is my question.
Well, I guess so. When I first met you, I think the decision had already been made that you would have been an assistant coach. So when Ed introduced you the first night to the team, in our first, player meeting, the first night of school, you were introduced as the assistant coach then. That was the first time I got to meet you there. So I believe, you introduced yourself as well as coach. You're like, hey, I'm Coach Adam, stuff like that. Um, so that's when I think the first time I met you was.
Yeah.
So I guess I didn't really have an impression of you as a player, just as our coach. But obviously, like, you had jumped on the ice with us in full gear, occasionally to see, to when we would do a scrimmage here and there, you'd jump in the waters and practice with us and stuff like that.
And I wanted to. I mean, like, I really did want to have the amount of playing time you did, but it just didn't work out that way. But it was better when I was coaching, and in a suit, and in my tie and shirt and all that, and
Yeah,
in pants too, and the pants too. Oh man, that was it. That was incredible too. Like, walking on the ice on loafers was a bit of a struggle.
you
I don't
scared
know
you were
if
gonna
I don't know
fall?
if you've ever done that, by the
I
way.
have.
It's a
I've done it a
struggle, isn't
bunch.
it?
Yeah, it's difficult. So I coach now, and I wear loafers on the onto the bench, um, and I know the pain. It's difficult to walk across that slippery ice.
Yeah. Like, and
So
I like always went ahead of Coach Ed just because. And hearing your name too as well was something, it was a good feeling the first time. And also getting that scrimmage against the Huskies was it was a good, very important experience as well. I guess I guess when now you knew that I was the assistant coach, and even though it was a bit weird having a guy that's 2 years older than take the lead in a sense, like I still made sure that everyone, did their thing, and especially with the passing. But is there anything you took away from me that first year, that first season?
no, I mean it was just you're just positive on the bench. If something bad was going on, I wasn't playing well, I could always look at you and you're just picking me up every time. I got back to the bench and turnover or whatever happens, you're always like, hey, you know what, you'll get them next time. It's not a big deal, you're a good player, stuff like that. You're kind of always there for us. And again, that work ethic I talked about earlier about you would be the first one on the ice doing drills. You'd be working on your skating before practice started and before, you got into coaching. You were, before you got that coaching hat on, you would be on the ice working on your own skills. So it kind of helped, it helped us freshmen look at you and be like, wow, if our coach can be out there, working on skating and working on his stuff, then why can't we be out there early working on our game too?
Yeah, and getting the net set up as well. I'm
Yeah.
glad that the one thing is that I wish during senior year that I was able to room with you. That was the one thing that, oh boy, that would have changed everything.
Yeah. I
Believe
mean,
me.
I was I know you were in the dorms your senior year still. So and
I mean, like, I think it was just more of just, be cheap too. And there were so many factors. I could have, like, oh, yeah, there was so many factors too of what happened in 2016 season. There was a lot going on. I don't know if you don't remember, well, you don't remember Emily at all. You don't remember her.
No.
You were not there during my sophomore year. Rebecca was uh, yeah, I can't believe I'm even saying their names right now. Don't worry, they're probably not listening, and they weren't
You
hot.
don't
They
you don't
weren't.
have to bring them up. Don't worry about it, Adam. If you
Besides, they
don't want
weren't
to
too
talk
big on
about it.
height. Okay, this girl who was 6'2" that I was seeing, and I think by the third date it was like, no, it's not going to work out, sort of thing.
That's all
So
right.
so that actually did affect me too, as well, and I couldn't, and it was a bit difficult getting back into it as well.
Yeah, it's
Um,
okay, Adam. Everyone goes through this type of things.
yeah. Now, and everyone goes through it. We still kept in contact, and I'm glad we did with you, me, and Jeremy. Just
Oh, of
being
course.
able to, and even seeing each other at Silver Diner. I honestly thought we would have the alumni game back in 2020 until or that happened. I
Yeah.
Now in 2019 I was there as well, and it was all good. And then
Yep.
you saw me in 2020, didn't no good. 2021, I was not flying. I'm not even sure I'll fly it in now with my gear, but is that even happening now?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be tough for you to fly in with your gear.
It's
That's a big expense.
it, it's a big expense, and I mean, like, a lot of people moved on too, but I
Mhm.
mean, I could still come in, and I wouldn't even know if I'd be a good ref at this point.
You
But
gotta know the game of hockey, Adam.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know a little bit of it and enough, but like not enough where I'd be like able to pass it to. Um, have you ever tried being a ref?
Yeah, I was a ref for 8 years of my life.
Man, I've got to be able to like write something about this. So the referee, like you got certified, you went through the class, and then you got did you was it a sit down test, or do you actually have to do like boarding, cross checking, match tripping? Um,
So so there's 4 levels to reffing, obviously 1 through 4. Level 1 is just an open book test, on the computer. This was again back when I did it. So I did it from the age of 10 to 18. Um, so that's 16 years ago. I know they've changed it since, but when I was doing it, it was level 1 was an online test, at home. Level 2 was a in-person and at home test. Level 3 was an in-person and home test. And then level 4 was in-person at home, and then they also had a skating portion test that you had to go through as well.
so did you have to meet a certain speed?
Yeah, you had to meet a certain speed. You had to give a couple signals. You had to give make a couple stops, turns, facing the puck, stuff like that. Just to show that you can kind of skate at a higher level and on a more competent level to ref at the higher levels.
And and I think that was definitely something that you grew to love. I mean, it's not like you ever tried to be an NHL ref, and
No.
and that's really hard to get into.
Yes, it is.
Even with the expansion of 32 teams as well. The did you ever get paid at all during that time?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was paid as a ref. It was a job.
Oh, I should have. I just. Oh man, it like these are the discoveries that you really forget, and it's like high school. It's like you want to know something. That entire time I was on that bench for most of my high school days, I thought the refs were volunteering. That's why
Nope.
they were so bad. They're in that sense that one time they called a penalty, but it was still, and we were on the power play. One problem when it started, we were in our own defensive zone because I thought these guys can't be getting paid. They must be volunteering. They don't know the game enough. They
Nope.
must be
Nope.
volunteering. And maybe
Great.
they were, but like still, it's like even and even then the one that was paid that I figured out during that summer league before I went off to college that was paid, he made a certain call because he initially thought it was icing, um and then the face off was in our defensive zone, but the other team had almost iced it. A goalie, our goalie interfered with it, and due to this weird call, we wind up having a face off in our own defensive zone. So even still, it's like you don't like even still you're going to make mistakes. So have you ever made a mistake as a ref?
Oh yeah, all the time. I mean, we're human. You always make mistakes. And at that point, good refs, you just kind of have to own up to it, apologize, say, "Hey guys, it's my fault." Make the correct call and kind of move on. That's really all the coaches want to hear, and you just be upfront and be honest with them. Say, "Hey, you know what? That was my fault. I missed the icing. I blew it when I shouldn't have blown it. It's going to go to this location, and we're gonna have to move on with it."
Yeah, and that was a good thing too, as well. And there were definitely some having that house league at the end of your high school days. It was pretty good too. I didn't
Good.
really score any points, and I was still a defenseman then.
Yeah, you're
So
just a stay-at-home D man.
yeah, but now that I'm forward, like that, they're impressed with me, the beer league, like because I can kick the puck to my skate and kick it from my skate to my blade and just take a shot and then still score, which is like something most of them can't do.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
Um,
you always had skill. I've always said that.
I do want to go back to the beer league before we end this segment. So are these ex-college players, um or are they more of some of the guys that have like just started 6 months ago? Or is there a variety of sorts?
So I try to play in a league where it's either current college players or ex-college players. You can kind of feel out for the rink and who's involved in the league. So I usually play with a lot of ex-college players.
What if there is one college ex-college player that I play with. Um, she played in Buffalo in NCAA, oddly enough, and I was in the ECHA, like with you. And then there was one other guy who I sworn that was good enough to be in college, but he never went. So, but and then everyone else is like 6 months or whatever.
Yeah.
But any advice on finding a beer league where you are, and any advice to those that are just starting hockey or like just 6 months into figuring out how to skate and stick handle?
Well, I guess my advice for finding a beer league would be be realistic with yourself. If you played at a college level, obviously, you know the game, you're talented enough to, compete in a better beer league, I'll say. But know your skill. If you've played your whole life, but you're getting older and you're signing up for a league with 25-year-olds and you're 50, you might not be there anymore. You might not have that quickness. So go down a level or two, just to play with people that and people that are your age and your talent level. That might be the best move. And I guess for people who are 6 months into starting, um, it's never too late to start. Get out there, make some friends, have some fun, and try and join. There's adult learn to play hockey classes. There's a learn to skate class. No, there's never a shame in joining in on those classes, and kind of showing taking initiative into playing. So that would be my advice. Just get out there and everybody. Hockey is obviously the greatest sport in the world. So I encourage everybody to join in and try and play as no matter what age you are.
Of course. All right. That'll do it for this segment of the Adam Rothstein Hockey Podcast. Please be sure to rate this podcast 5 stars on Spotify, Apple. Please write me a review as well. And also just share the show with a friend as well. It really does help grow it. And if you want access to the newsletter, $5 a month, rothsteina.substack.com. It is the best hockey newsletter on Substack. And yeah, that'll do it. Anything else, Matt? Do you want to promote it? Yes, I almost forgot. You need to promote something, right? Do you have want me to shout out your Instagram, or do you have anything else?
No, I'm good. Just I'm happy to be here, Adam. And me. I always love our chats.
All
Getting
right.
to talk to you and hanging out. So
Yeah. And you can also follow him on Instagram at if I could get your handle up, what's your handle again?
uh M Stella 14.
Okay. At M Stella.
I think so.
Yeah, at M Stella 14, all lowercase.
There you go. Shows how
Okay,
much I know
that
about my
is
Instagram.
okay. That's gonna do it for this episode number 38. All right, take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Thanks, Adam.
You're welcome.